Shayla, why are you standing next to a dumpster? Well, I'm not just standing next to any dumpster. This is a dumpster on Whitney Beach, north side of Longboat Key on the Gulf side. I want to talk about the real deal aftermath of the hurricanes, and that is restoration work and restoration liens and how we can still facilitate a sale. Life's not always fair, life's not always pretty. There are things that we have to deal with when we own and live and operate properties here in Florida. So I want to dive into it. It's not all doom and gloom. There's workarounds. So stay positive and stay tuned. It's not the best looking, but it's also not the worst. The buildings are still standing here at Whitney Beach, and we have a lot of restoration going on here in the community. There's so many things that you can't change, which, change is inevitable. Hurricanes and storms are inevitable. And living in such a tropical paradise, there's bound to be something, whether it's wildfires in California, really high taxes, tornadoes, all kinds of things, earthquakes, and, all the things. I think the advantages definitely outweigh the disadvantages for living in Florida, right? There's a lot in the media nowadays and things like that. And I'm here to show you kind of the worst, not the prettiest and the best aftermath that we're still dealing with here in Southwest Florida. So it's not pretty, but it's also not forever. So change is inevitable. What we do know too is you cannot change this beautiful location. This Gulf to Bay community is going through some restorations. And what does that mean if you're trying to sell? What does that mean if you're trying to buy? Well, it's not the end of the world, number one. So after having consulted with one of my preferred real estate attorneys, there are a couple different ways around, being able to purchase, whether it's cash or financing, a transaction here in Florida as it relates to giving you clear title at the closing table, which is really important. When you have liens, the liens need to be closed or noted on or itemized somehow in terms of financially in order to close that or give clear title. So in Whitney Beach specifically, and this is probably a good example to work off of if you're looking at restoration liens or other liens due to storms that are still pending. So number one, any restoration lien that your community might have could be paid a few different ways. Either if your community has ample enough reserves, so if there's enough in reserves or a portion of that can go to reserves. Number two, if the insurance company pays all or part of. And number three, which is not ideal, assessments, okay? So for example, the total lien here in Whitney Beach as of the last note that we are aware of is $1.1 million for the community. Just talking about the Bayside, because the Bayside HOA is completely different from the Gulf side HOA. So two different HOAs because they operate on two different budgets. So what does that mean? That means there are 139 owners, and you take the $1.1 million divided by each unit, so 139 equals $7,913. Okay, so now what? What we do with that number is we multiply that times 1.5 or 150% of the estimated lien per unit. That number comes out to, it's like $12,000 here on this particular unit that I have for sale, which by the way is still listed, no damage, second floor unit, completely sold furnished, and again, no damage, like I said, impact windows throughout, is super duper cute, second floor, and just adorable, and you can rent it, you can have pets, it's just super cute. So anyway, so what we do from there is we take the $12,000 and we take that off of the closing in terms of an escrow holdback. So the seller gets $12,000 less off of the closing, right? And that sits in an escrow holdback account that the attorney or the title company holds for a period of time when they figure out or like what's being paid and how, and is it insurance, is it reserves, is it assessments? So it could be a portion of this, all of this, more of it, probably not more of it, but generally less, and you'll end up getting it back. The seller will end up getting a portion of it back if in fact those funds are paid out of either insurance or reserves or some other assessment. So every community is also different in terms of how they calibrate that. Some do it by the total units, and other communities calculate that not just by the unit per se, but the square footage. So if you have a larger unit, you're going to pay a little bit higher calculation per square foot because you're taking up more space inside the community. So your fee might be a little bit higher. But this is just an example of how it can be worked. So then in order for clear title to be passed on to the new buyer, Berlin Patent, for example, is who I spoke with on this conversation here, would, or whatever title company would, quote, indemnify the title underwriter to remove that from the policy and issue the buyer, quote, clear title at closing. And then Berlin Patent or your preferred lender or title office would hold that amount, say $12,000, and pay the restoration company, whoever the lien holder is, or however, there might be a few different liens. So you have to calculate all total liens in total to be able to clear that or indemnify the underwriter, the title underwriter, to clear that and give the buyer clear title. Another option, if the buyer is paying cash only, so this would be, the first option would work if you're doing financing or cash. The second option would be is if you're paying cash, that they would override that entirely in the policy. So they call it, quote, close over it as an exception on the policy. But most buyers don't wish to go that route. They want to ensure that, you know, it's noted in the title policy or it's indemnified. So at least there are ways around it. And I will say this, nothing lasts forever, right? At some point, they are working really hard. It will be beautiful again. It will be back to its glory. We are pretty well inland protected here in the Bayside, I will say, in this particular unit, the second floor unit. Again, it's listed for sale, 6750 Gulf of Mexico, unit 153, second floor, facing this awesome bayou and canal inlet. And we've got a marina here, which is also like a huge asset or amenity for buyers. And it kind of circulates by a first come, first serve for owners here in Whitney Beach. So we have that, walk directly across to the beach. So, and then all the assessments have been paid. This owner's like amazing. And we are also actually offering an overabundance of a credit for this particular buyer on this unit to way more than compensate for this lien or potentially any others coming down the pike at a whopping $25,000. So the seller understands that in this case, you know, it looks a little ugly and scary, but the $25,000 will way more than compensate as a double what the calculation is here in Whitney Beach for this particular unit. So, you know, don't be scared off. Just learn the facts and learn what you can do. Talk to your trusted advisors, talk to your preferred real estate attorneys, title, whoever it is. I think in a lot of these cases, it would be recommended to have a real estate attorney, not just a title office, because of so many intricacies, so many, you know, assessments and just advice for buyers. I mean, it's one thing if it's like an easy, clean cut, brand new, like nothing wrong property, but you know, things do come up even on clean properties and brand new properties, right? So I tend to lean toward advising clients to go with a real estate law firm because especially in this state of things, right, post all these storms, it really is like more peace of mind, and you really don't pay more for their fee at closing. So whether it's Berlin Patent, there's other law firms, other title companies that are really great. I've worked with so many over the years. You know, just if you have questions about this stuff, call me. And if I can't answer it, I'm certainly not an attorney, but I will point you in the right direction no matter what. So if you have questions about this unit, I'm still trying to sell it. We have a showing here too, so I'm double dipping. I'm doing a video and showing. So Whitney Beach is amazing. Call me about this unit or others on Longboat Key or just others in Southwest Florida. Of course, I work Manatee, Sarasota, in Charlotte counties. I don't work the whole state because I don't know the whole state, honey. I just stick to what I know. But thank you guys for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting. I love it. Thank you. I hope you're having a great summer, and things are slower here right now. So I wouldn't mind the comments and the shares and the likes and the posts. 941-544-7690 is how you reach me.